A reading from the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus said, "Do not think I've come to bring peace to the earth. I've not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and one's foes will be members of one's own household. Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up the cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Those who find their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. Whoever welcomes you welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward." Now, when Jesus had finished instructing his 12 disciples, he went on from there to teach and proclaim his message in their cities. But who's going to take care of your children? This was the question that I heard more than a few times in my first weeks of seminary back at the turn of the century. We did the usual get-to-know-you exercises and icebreakers, and we told people where we were from and who was in our family and what our situation was, and told them about our call, Jesus' call to us to ministry. And pretty much without fail, I'd get to the end of telling people that I had 4 children at home, ranging in age from mid-teens down to 5 years old, and they would look at me and ask, "But who's going to take care of your children while you're here?" It was a question posed somewhere in the lane between concern and judgment. And it took all of my patience in those opening months of those relationships to answer people kindly and tell them that I had thought about that and that I had some childcare set up for my children. But their implication was clear, that I wasn't supposed to respond to God's call in my life until I had dispatched all of my motherly duties. Then it would be time for me to respond to what God was asking of me. And I suppose it would have been fine had it just been their thought system, but of course it resonated a little bit in me because maybe it was the generation I was brought up in, but there was a part of me that also thought I needed to take care of the needs of every single family member around me before I responded to God's call to me to offer myself in ordained ministry. But as it happened, I was challenged by a spiritual director or two in that time who made me question whether in fact that was God's desire or if that was something that my environment and my society had actually conditioned me to believe. And in fact, throughout Scripture, we have moments just like the one in today's sending out of the gospel, or the sending out of the disciples in Matthew's gospel, where Jesus says, "I am your primary relationship, and anyone who loves mother and father more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves daughter or son more than me is not worthy of me." Does Jesus hate family members? I don't think so. But Jesus is saying, I'm not last in line in the priorities in your life as a disciple. And that is an important message for us to hear, because we do live in a country, in a society, I believe, that encourages a real prioritization on the love of and the care of family members. And that is a worthy virtue and goal and a great gift. But part of the sword that Jesus brings, it's a frightening image and it's a surprising image because we think of Jesus as such a loving person. But part of this sword image is that Jesus has come to separate us from anything in our life, any idolatry that stands between us and understanding ourselves and our relationship to God through Christ, through Jesus. Anything that keeps us from understanding that as primary in our lives. And it's not the only place. There are other places where Jesus challenges society's norms and what society would have us do. And he encourages his disciples and encourages us in this passage in Matthew to look carefully. If there's something in our life, something that we feel God is calling us to do, but we think we'll do that just as soon as everything else on this list has been fulfilled, Jesus is saying, that's not it. He says, God, I need to be at the center of your discipleship. And your faithfulness to that call might in fact encourage you to have some tension in some of the other important places, relationships in our lives. And he says, it is to be expected, and you are all the same, to make me not the bottom of your list. It's a challenging lesson, but it's also a life-giving lesson to realize that God is calling us into relationship, each one of us, uniquely gifted by God. And only you know what God is asking of you. And you are encouraged by today's gospel proclamation to consider well if you are responding in the way that you truly want to, or if you're allowing other things, other people to place limits on your response to God. And if so, God encourages you to grasp onto that call and to make yourself fully available to proclaim God's good news in this world. This day and always, may God be with you. Amen.